Hi everybody, it's Sarah here at the Big Blast Homestead, and we're going to talk tomatoes today. It may be a little bit long, I apologize, but I have 50 varieties of tomatoes that I'm growing this year, and I have a lot of new varieties. So what I'm doing is I'm wanting to share what it is that I'm putting out in my garden, tomato variety-wise, so that you guys can see that as well. But then I also need some tips and tricks, and let me know how you feel about a lot of these new varieties I'm growing. It's important to always grow new varieties in your garden because you may find something you like better than what you already grow. And then your area, depending on your weather, maybe like you grow like your standard red cherry tomato and it does really well, but then you grow the purple tomatoes and they don't. So it's good to find out what works best in your area. So with that being said, today we're going to go through a lot of tomato varieties, and I'm going to show you what it is that I'm putting in my garden. Top priority for me this year is to get some seeds saved, because these two packets here, Hungarian Heart and Amish Paste, 1 seed and 2 seeds. That's all I have left. So these are mainly going to be grown for seeds only. But with that, they're big heart-shaped tomatoes. And a heart-shaped tomato is flat on the top and pointed on the bottom. They have a lot of flesh. They're really good canners. Usually anything with the name Heart in it is a big tomato, very sweet and yummy. Can be used dual purpose as a salad tomato. It can be used as a canning tomato, but they don't produce a lot of seeds. So I only get about 10 to 15 seeds per tomato. So that one's really important to get a lot of seed from. I have a bunch of seeds that I've saved myself, and I need to go ahead and amp up a little bit more of that seed because it's not as many as I want. I have less than I thought. So some of these I'm growing just to save seeds on, but like the Super Snow Whites, they're a small cherry tomato and they are really delicious. Really enjoyed those, and it was really fun to add a white cherry tomato into my mix. And when I say my mix, I use a lot of baggies full of cherry tomatoes, and I save a lot separate, and then I save a lot mixed. This one I call a rainbow blend. Orange, yellow, purple, white, green, every color of cherry tomato you can imagine is in here. And I did that for selling plants. I thought that would be interesting to get a little flat with mixed cherry tomatoes, so you don't know what color you're getting, but you're getting a lot of good flavors. I mean, a lot of those cherry tomatoes are really, really delicious. I have the White Beauty. That's one that's a large slicer type tomato, white in color, and it makes a really good mix into like a salsa. It's that type of tomato that it's good eating as like a sliced tomato, but it looks really good when you mix in a couple colors into a salsa, and then you have more than just red salsa. So that's the reason why I'm growing that one. And it's got a little more acid, but it's still a tasty tomato. I have a lot of cherry tomatoes here as well. Two that I'm really struggling with this year are these two. I've got a chocolate cherry and a black cherry. And I wanted a purple cherry tomato that I could really enjoy, and I haven't decided which one I like better. So I'm growing them again this year, and it'll be the decision. Which one stays in the garden and which one do I stop growing? But I do like cherry tomatoes. I like to walk out to my garden and just eat tomatoes as I walk around. Every year I grow yellow pears. It's a very good staple to have in my garden. So yeah, yellow pear tomatoes, really tasty. They're more of a 2-bite than a single bite type tomato, but I really enjoy those. And these sweeties are really good, very sweet. I mean, their name is Sweetie, and they are a very sweet, smaller size cherry tomato. And these are good marinated or put onto platters or eaten fresh or snacked on, throughout the day, and even in salads. So I really like the Sweeties. And then I like these large red cherries. I grew these last year, and I ended up doing a second round, and I was still picking these at Thanksgiving. So I'm trying to get more of those in the ground this year because I really like those. Now, my favorite cherry tomato of all time is the Chadwick Cherry. I don't have the seeds in front of me. I don't know why. But I love Chadwick cherries, and so I still grow those as well. But the large red cherry tomatoes are a little bit bigger than a standard cherry tomato, and so those are more like quartered to eat in salad sort of thing. But they were still really good tomatoes. New to me for cherries this year is the Hartman's Yellow Gooseberry. It's supposed to be really, really sweet and supposed to look really good as a chunky salsa. Yeah, so if you've ever grown that one, let me know what you think of it, because I've seen some good reviews, but I really want to try this one this year. And then I happened to pick this one up at Lowe's the other day. I was just astounded by the amount of tomatoes that are growing off this plant. It is a cascading, ginormous amount of tomatoes. And this one's actually called the Cherry Super Sweet 100. It's a hybrid, so I won't be saving seeds off of it, but I thought this would be good as a market crop, I can get a lot of cherry tomatoes and sell those in my little produce stand that I do. So excited about that one. But my favorite cherry tomato this year that I'm growing is the Matt's Wild Cherry. I found seeds for these and I was so excited because this guy was hiking through the woods in Mexico and found a true wild tomato plant. And they're cherry size, but a true wild tomato. So this is the closest I'll ever get to tasting a real tomato. One that hasn't been touched by science's hands, not altered and, genetically modified. It's a true tomato. So I'm really excited to grow that one this year. I have some that I struggle with. I don't know if they do well in my area yet, and I'm going to go ahead and try them again. And then I had some issues, with weather being really dry and then being super rainy. So I've got some varieties here I wanted to talk about. First one is the San Marzano. I always grow Roma tomatoes because I like to can those as whole tomatoes, but this is supposed to be a really good tomato as well. It's a determinate variety, which means that I could grow this twice. So instead of having one season only, I can do 2 seasons of tomatoes with this, and they're supposed to be really good for paste and for canning and, stewed tomatoes, things of that nature. But I need to give them another try because last year they did not do well for me. I have the Dr. Whyches. A lot of people call it Dr. Witchies as well. I will put a link in my description of all the list of tomatoes that I'm growing in case you need to see spellings or, pronounce them better than I probably do on some. But Dr. Whyches, I grew this a few years back and I absolutely loved it. It's a big yellow slicing tomato. Very delicious. Has that true quality of an heirloom tomato flavor that you're looking for. But last year I didn't have any seeds, and so I'm doing this for saving seeds and eating. I have the Hillbilly tomato, which is one of my biggest tomatoes I ever grow. It can get to be the size of your head. Big, huge tomato. And they're more of an orangish red tone, not a dark red, but really sweet, really juicy, really good, and it works great as a slicer. So big, nice, juicy tomato. I have the Amana Orange tomato. This one, for some reason, does not produce well for me at all. So I bought new seeds this year, thinking maybe it was from the company, and I'm going to give this a try again. But please, if you have any tips on the Amana Orange, let me know, because I think it's a beautiful tomato, and I would really like to have a mix of this pretty orange color in all of my food, in my salsas, in my salads, in my tarts, everything that I use tomatoes for. I would love to have this orange in there, and everybody said it's really, really good. I also have the black Krim, which last year didn't do very well for me. I think they were not very good with the heat, but this is actually a cross from a Cherokee Purple and a regular beefsteak tomato, so it makes it a larger tomato. But I'd really like to try the black Krims again and see if I can get those to do well. And another black tomato is the black Seaman. I don't know what happened, but every time I grow these, they're not purple. They're more green and red, like green shouldered with a red bottom, but I never get the purple. I prune back the leaves as much as I can, but we're going to try again. If I can't get this one to produce, then I'm done with the black Seaman. They taste good, but I'd really like that purple tomato. My tried and trues, always in my garden, black from Tula. This is my favorite colored tomato, black from Tula. And I bought these originally because my daughter's nickname is Lula Tula, and so I bought them for her. And we love these tomatoes, so they will always stay in my garden. Okay, another variety that I will always grow is the Abe Lincolns. They're an indeterminate, but they grow a massive amount of tomatoes. And I love these tomatoes, and they're really good as dual purpose, so I really like Abe Lincolns. As well as the Mortgage Lifters. 2 different packs here because I needed to get more. And these are your typical, when you're looking for a good red heirloom tomato, that's a dual purpose as well. These do really, really well. These have a little less acid than the Abe Lincoln, so I like to mix the two when I can. But Mortgage Lifter is definitely one that stays in my garden. I also have the Costoluto Genovese. It's a funky tomato. When you think of weird pumpkin-y shaped tomatoes, that's what this one looks like. It's supposed to be really good as just a slicer, but we just like eating them like apples. So I always try to grow the Genovese tomatoes as well. Got Cherokee Purple. If you live anywhere near my area, which is South Carolina, Cherokee Purples are one of the favorite tomatoes around here. Dark purple, beautiful tomato, sliced open. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it tastes so wonderful. So Cherokees always stay in my garden as well. And along with these pink Oxhearts. I absolutely love anything that is an Oxheart tomato. And these are really, 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 really good. And the only problem with these are they get so big that they actually prefer being caged. Instead of like strung onto trellising. I like to put those in cages because they will split their branches off if they aren't supported all around. So definitely have to get my tomato cages out for that one. Now here's all the new varieties. So if you stuck with me this long, these are the ones that I'm going to grow for the first time ever. And I definitely need some help. So leave some comments below and let me know what it is that you have done or how you've enjoyed these tomatoes. And then maybe it'll help me out as well because I'd really like to be successful with some new varieties here. I wish these seed packets had pictures to show you everything, but I'll try to describe them as best I can. This one is the Paul Robeson. It's more of a muddy red color with like brown and green tones to it, but I wanted something to add just a little bit of, change in my garden color-wise. So yeah, I'm going to try the Paul Robeson. I also got these Principe Borghese, which is a plum tomato. They're supposed to be really good dual purposed, but I'd really like to see if these do as well as the San Marzanos or the Romas, because a lot of people I see that grow these say they would prefer these over the others. So I went ahead and bought 2 packets, and I'll probably grow a lot of these just because I can a lot. So Principe Borghese. I have a Heinz tomato. I actually found seeds for Heinz, like the Heinz tomato. It's not the exact one that was, used in the ketchups and stuff, but I'd like to see what it looks like. I'd like to see how it turns out. So I'm giving this Heinz a try. And this is actually the 1350 variety. It's named Heinz 1350 VF. So definitely giving that one a try this year. I've got Triple L crop. I've grown these a long time ago. It's been a while, but this one I'm considering new to me because I remember my Triple L crops when I grew them not being so red. I remember them being more orange in tone. So I don't know if that was just me picking early or what, but they're supposed to be ginormous, massive, big, big, big tomatoes. And I like big tomatoes. I also found Cherokee Green. It's supposed to be from the same guy who made the Cherokee Purple, but it's a green variety. So I'd like to give that one a try too, because I did grow a couple green tomatoes last year and I haven't found one that I absolutely, truly love. They're good, but this one so far, I think is going to be the best. I do grow the Ananas Noir, which is a kind of green and pink looking tomato. Didn't put my seeds in here for that, but I grow it every year. But yeah, I'm going to give this Cherokee Green. It's supposed to taste like the Cherokee Purple, but green in tone. I've got the Garden Peach, which is a peach colored tomato, and it's also called that because it's a fuzzy skinned tomato. Who knew that, shiny skins can turn fuzzy on tomatoes? So definitely want to give that one a try. It's supposed to be really sweet. It's supposed to be really, really good and can be used, fresh eating or cooked down. So I want to give the Garden Peach a try. Okay. And then this is the Mountain Princess, and it's a determinate variety. So I should be able to grow this a couple times if I like it. And this one's supposed to be good as a dual purpose, and it's supposed to be a lot sweeter, but it's also extremely short seasoned, meaning this is the one that I can pick before any other tomato I'm growing this year. And it is a 55 to 68 day variety. 55 to 68 days. So these tomatoes will come on before any of the other tomatoes, which means I might be able to grow them more than once, twice, maybe 3 times. So I want to give these a try. If they taste good, I'll continue to grow them. I've got the Mr. Stripey, which has a lot of yellow striping in it. Just thought it would be pretty to add. And like I said, I do a market stand. And so if I have a big variety of, heirloom tomatoes sitting on a table, maybe people will look and go, oh, wow, that's really cool. And they'll pick out, Mr. Stripey. So I thought that would be a great one. And I also have this striped German, which is, description says that when you slice it, it looks like stained glass. They didn't have a picture of it sliced. They only had a picture of it whole. It's just your standard like yellow, red, orange, mixed tone. But I'd love to see what the inside of that one looks like. I have a Bonnie's Best. I've seen a lot of channels grow these, and they're supposed to be really, really good, like high producing, your classic round store-bought looking type tomato. But I'm going to give Bonnie's Best a try. With that one, I also did the Homestead tomato. Homestead tomato, which is the same. Very round, uniformed, all the same shape, all the same size. But, why not? Maybe one tastes better than the other, so Homestead tomato. Then I've got this German Johnson, which is supposed to be absolutely delicious. I saw a couple channels who have grown these before, and they say that they are almost like the sweetest tomato they've ever tasted. So if you're not looking for an acidic tomato, maybe a sweet tomato. So I'm really going to try this German Johnson and see how it does for me, because that would be an awesome tomato to have. Just straight up, eat fresh, really sweet. Then I have this vintage wine. It has a lot of like speckling and striping to it, and it's supposed to be a good like dual purpose variety as well. These are more flat than round. Instead of being rounded, they kind of flatten out more. But I've heard a lot of good reviews about it as well, so I'm going to try it. But my favorite by far of all of the tomato varieties that I'm growing, the one that I'm most excited about is this one right here. And the reason being is because it had an amazing story behind it. When I do a video on planting these, I'll tell all about that. But it also is, it's in books that I've got from the 70s. It's been on my mind my entire life almost. Every time I've looked through catalogs, I've never been able to find it, and I found it finally. And so this one is the Reverend Morrows Long Keeper tomato. This tomato is said to have the longest shelf life of all tomatoes. I've seen other long keeper tomatoes out there, but I've never grown one. But this one, this name right here meant a lot because it's been stuck in my brain. Reverend Morrows Long Keeper. It is said that you can pick these tomatoes at your last frost date, like right before, and they can be green, and you can put them on your counter and they will sit for 12 weeks before they ripen, and they will not go bad. So that means that I could have fresh tomatoes to eat through the winter. And if you saw that video I did about my tomato nightmare, I don't buy tomatoes anymore from the store. And so I'm looking for a replacement for that, and I'd like winter tomatoes. So I'm definitely giving this Reverend Morrows Long Keeper a try, definitely. And I'm really excited about it. So this one I'm going to really document, because if this grows great, I will probably still be eating tomatoes in December and January and maybe even February if they keep long enough. Fresh tomatoes. So excited about that. Again, that was 50 varieties I went through, and I apologize for the video being longer, but if you are like me and you love tomatoes and you love listening about tomatoes and varieties and all of that, that's why you're here. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe, leave a comment below and let me know about any of these varieties and how they work out for you, or if you have any questions or anything, and I'll give them an answer. And on top of all that, thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I will see you in my next tomato venture when we start planting. Bye.